Hi everybody, I'm Rook. Welcome to the table. Got a Yu-Gi-Oh! Speed Duel deck profile for you today. Something that people are calling, have you guys heard of Viral Despair? Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with that. I started playing this deck right around the turn of the year, and I've actually taken this to locals and stuff. Like, this is really fun to play, and I'm doing pretty well with it, but I wanted to profile it for you guys. So shout out to Cedric Storm, I will say, for showing me this deck first. You guys can actually see it in the background of my top 5 video of the Trials of Kingdom booster pack. He's showing me the deck list, and I'm like playing him with the Daedalus deck, and he's showing me the deck list in the background. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to build this, and it worked out really well. So I made just a couple tweaks to it, but I find that it's working super well, and it's definitely a lot of fun. It's really a lot of fun to use. So I want to break it down for you right away. Something different about this deck that you don't see is this is a Kaiba skill card. Yeah, it is. This is Viral Infection. You don't see that really too much in any meta decks, but it's working in this deck. So Viral Infection is you can discard any number of cards and declare a card type, monster, spell, or track, and your opponent has to discard as many of that as well from their deck. So why this works is this card, the Viral Despair card, Despair from the Dark. Why did they give us such a huge zombie monster? My god, 2800 attack and what is that, 3000 defense? Yeah, it is. And 3000 defense, are you kidding me? The effect is not really something we're using. If it were to be discarded by your opponent's discard effect from your hand, you can special summon it, which is great. I mean, if you get Donzalug and they choose your Despair, then sure, that's coming out. But Despair from the Dark works because Viral Infection allows you to put it into the graveyard already. Then you have to declare a card type so that your opponent has to start milling their deck, which is bad for them. If they're milling monsters, typically you want to call monster, because if they're milling monsters, I do run Book of Life in this deck, and Despair from the Dark is a zombie monster, so you'll be able to effectively Book of Life to get Despair from the Dark right onto your field and banish that monster that they discarded. And of course, Haunted Shrine. I can't talk enough about Haunted Shrine, but Haunted Shrine works with this card super well also. So that's kind of the background of how the deck works with the Viral Infection, Despair from the Dark, but that's the biggest card that you're going to see the most. Moving on, a few more monsters though. 3 double COSTON. This is a zombie deck, so we want to see the double COSTON representation here. That's a 1700 attack beater, which is really solid in the Speed Duel format, and its effect we actually want to use. I really only saw the decks that use double COSTON's effect with Serpent Knight Dragon, which is it can be counted as 2 tributes for a dark monster. It works because we got a little gimmick here. We got 2 Barrel Dragon in this deck. Barrel Dragon is a 7-star Dark Machine monster, so double COSTON works here. You only have to tribute one of them to get Barrel Dragon out, and Barrel Dragon, 2600 attack, 2200 defense, with a really fun effect where you flip 3 coins, and if there are 2 heads, you're destroying a monster that you're targeting. So Barrel Dragon, of course, really good beater on its own. This deck's really all just about like really good dark beaters. Barrel Dragon 2600, Despair from the Dark at 2800, and Barrel Dragon with a coin flip. If there's something that you can't get over that's like absolutely destroying you from a monster effect, you can just flip 3 coins and maybe it'll go away. So that's kind of how the deck gets around things where you can't just brute force beat over it. 2 Barrel Dragon there, and double COSTON working well for that. And then the last monster I'm running is 1 Magician of Faith. Magician of Faith is critical here because it's going to get a spell back from your graveyard when you flip it. Spells I'm running, I'm thinking about Book of Life. Book of Life is going to be very helpful because at that point, you know your opponent's going to have monsters in their graveyard and you want to get Despair from the Dark out if it's not out already. So Magician of Faith helps you get the Book of Lifes back out that you may have already used. Moving on to spells. 2 Book of Life, not 3. I think 3 is a little bit of a dead draw there. Sometimes it doesn't always work, but 2 Book of Life works super well because you target a zombie monster in your graveyard and a monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon your zombie, and banish their monster. You're always targeting Despair from the Dark. It's going to come right out to your side of the field. If you use Viral Infection to send Despair from the Dark from your hand to the graveyard, and then you call Monster, your opponent is forced to put a monster from their deck into the graveyard. Then Book of Life is going to banish that sucker and bring your Despair right out. You got an amazing first turn if you do that turn 1. That really shuts people down, and they just don't know what to do there. That's how it works really with Book of Life. And then the other spell I run, this is a little bit of a stall deck too. We got 3 Mask of the Accursed because we like being annoying. Mask of the Accursed, your opponent, you equip it to a monster and they can't attack, and on your standby phase, your opponent's going to lose 500 life points. So you can slowly start draining your opponent's life points away, and with a huge offense like Despair from the Dark and Barrel Dragon, they're not going to be able to beat over you or beat into you to try and inflict that damage. Mask of the Accursed working really well there. And another good stall tactic. Moving on to traps, 3 Spellbinding Circle. We are really not trying to let the opponent have any fun here, are we? That's going to shut them down also. You activate it by targeting at a monster your opponent controls, and they cannot attack or change battle position. And when it's destroyed, then Spellbinding Circle is destroyed, and when Spellbinding Circle is destroyed, then the monster can move freely again. If the monster is tributed though, Spellbinding Circle stays. That's something that I learned, so that's a little bit of a downside. It can take up a trap slot if the monster is tributed. But with Mastering the Curse and Spellbinding Circle, that just gives you plenty of time to get your Despairs back out. Use Viral Infection to kind of deck your opponent out, or do really however you want to play it. You can go super rush down aggressive. You can go for the stall. You can just keep waiting to try and get Barrel Dragon out, and you can slowly flip your opponent to death. That's always fun. But with Mastering the Curse and Spellbinding Circle, you're pretty much given the tools to do whatever the heck you want. Few other traps, 2 Haunted Shrine. Now guys, I will say I strongly recommend running 3. The only reason I'm not running 3 is because I don't have 3. And you know, the boxes are unfortunately actually hard to come by where I am. So I run 2 Haunted Shrine, but you should run 3. I'd probably take out like a Spellbinding Circle for the 3rd one. Haunted Shrine, I've gushed about this card before, but if you control no monsters on your side of the field, you can activate Haunted Shrine to bring a zombie from your graveyard to the field. There's your Despair from the Dark. You're getting that 2800 beater back out onto the field again. There are so many ways to get this thing out. Keeps coming out. And then of course Haunted Shrine's secondary effect, where if it's in the graveyard and you control no monsters on your side of the field, again, you can actually remove it and banish it from the graveyard to special summon a zombie from your graveyard to the field. So Haunted Shrine working twice, able to bring Despair from the Dark out. If I were to calculate how many times we could get Despair from the Dark out from the graveyard right now, I'd say we can get it out 6 different times, because Haunted Shrine works twice and Book of Life. Actually 7 with Magician of Faith recovering a Book of Life. 7 different. How often do you have to like take down 7 blue eyes? I mean, it's pretty close. It's 2800 attack, but it's just impossible. And with Master the Curse and Spellbinding Circle, you're effectively gonna, that game is actually gonna get there. You're gonna stall that game out long enough where they have to deal with Despair from the Dark 7 times, potentially. That's why I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's not just like a 1-2 and done kind of deck. There's just a lot of different ways to play it. But we're not done. Couple other traps. We got 1 Dust Tornado. Need that magic removal, so I am using the Dust Tornado there. And last trap, and I'm playing this. This is 20 cards right here, by the way. The last trap I'm playing, just kind of play around because I played a lot of stall. I do have a Jar of Avarice. Jar of Avarice you could easily take out, but Jar of Avarice works fine. You target 5 cards in your graveyard, except Jar of Avarice, you shuffle them all into your deck, and then you draw a card. So you can do this whole thing again. The Haunted Shrines unfortunately get banished, but you could shuffle back in the Books of Life, the Costons, the Barrel Dragons, the Despairs. You can start viraling all over again, and you can keep the party going. So that is the entire Viral Despair deck, and I'm having so much fun with it. It's like the deck that I'm playing primarily right now, except for besides Dinos. I'm still going strong with the Dinos and playing those in places. But Viral Despair is working well. So guys, if you like this, please feel free to hit the like button and of course, subscribe for more. See ya.